Hello and welcome to today's webinar. A little housekeeping before we begin. Everyone is muted during the webinar. All webinars will be recorded and sent to all the attendees after the webinar has concluded. Tomorrow, the recorded webinar will be sent out to all participants. There will be a Q&A at the end of the presentation, but please feel free to ask questions during the webinar by clicking on the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Once the presentation concludes, I will ask the questions presented in the Q&A box. I may not get to everyone's questions, but we will do our best. With that being said, I would like to introduce you to Ruben Franco, President and CEO of the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks, Edna, and thank you everybody for being on today's call. We're very pleased to have our partner, Experian. We have a great partnership with them. They do great work as a corporation, but they also serve the community very well by supporting organizations like ourselves. The Orange County Hispanic Chamber has been around for 35 years. Next year will be our 35th anniversary, and we're here to help support and promote businesses. And then along with our Small Business Development Center, which we're able to provide no-cost services to you if you need any consulting help, and we'll have all those contact information for you available on the slides and in the presentation. They are available to you. We want to help your business succeed at whatever it is you're trying to do. So we're going to have Veronica Herrera from Experian on with us, giving the Experian presentation on business credit. We're going to be having Adela Escobar, one of our partners with Opportunity Fund, giving a presentation on what Opportunity Fund type of lending is able to provide for our small businesses. And then Craig Russin, who leads our finance center for the Small Business Development Center for our entire network, will be on just giving you some tips on what it is that's out there, what he sees out there as far as lending opportunities and what you need to do to get to the next step, just the realistic goals of putting together a plan. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce to you our partner from Experian, Veronica Herrera.
Thanks, Ruben. Good morning, everyone. My name is Veronica Herrera. I'm a director of product within Experian. I've been with Experian for, coming on 18 years now. I am the subject matter expert for our credit scores and our credit report data, on the analytics side. So I've been doing this for quite a while, as well as for almost a decade now. I've been doing the Experian Credit Ambassador Program, where I actually teach members of the community about their credit, explain how credit is created, how credit reports are built, the elements of credit scores and things like that. So in my day job, I'm uniquely suited to being able to describe this, because this is what I do all day long. Talking to lenders about bureau credit data and scores and things like that. So what I'm going to be covering today is a little bit, it's pretty high level, about the difference between a small business credit report and a personal credit report and how they're related, really. We're going to be covering that pretty high level at this point. If there are other questions about the specifics of your credit report, or small business report, we can definitely try to get to them. I do need to read the disclosure. It's sort of the legal stuff that I have to go through, but allow me just to read through this very quickly. The purpose of this presentation is to help you better understand credit reporting and to provide general information about how you can manage your credit report so that you can get the credit that you need and want. For legal reasons, I cannot discuss issues specific to your personal or business credit report. I cannot advise individuals on how to improve their personal or business credit report or scores. I cannot submit disputes regarding your personal or business credit report on your behalf. Information regarding Experian policies and processes is current as of the date of this presentation, but may change. Basically, I don't have access to your credit report. Very few people do, actually, through Experian, but I can definitely talk to you about how it all works. Okay. So again, I'm going to be covering the basics of personal and business credit reporting, kind of comparing and contrasting, so that you can understand why you want to have both separate personal and business credit histories, and especially having positive ones. I want you to understand how having your personal credit report and your business credit report separate can actually, what are some of the benefits of it, and how you can manage both of those credit reports once you have established them. All right, so let's start off with the business credit report. For the most part, I think people are familiar with their personal credit report. It's the business report that's a little bit different. So at a very high level, a business credit report is very much like a personal credit report, but instead of being on you, it's on the actual business. And in the same manner that your personal credit report has, you know, your accounts and the relationships you have with your various lenders, the business credit report has the established credit relationships with your suppliers and wholesalers and your banks and any leasing agreements that you have. So it's kind of parallel to your personal credit report, but it's a little different, right? It's on the business and not on the individual. We do have these separate, right? So the Experian Small Business Credit Reporting Bureau is separate from the Consumer Credit Bureau. We have about 25 million businesses in our the business side of it, but we have 220 million U.S. consumers in our credit, the consumer credit side. So it's a little bit different. But the purpose of it is still the same, which is helping lenders make decisions based on the business. So your business credit report will have similar things as you would on your personal, but of course different because it is a different type of entity. So instead of your personal name and social security number and your address, the way you would have on your personal credit report, you're going to have your company name, key personnel, your SIC code, the type of business that you are, you know, your KOB, your business address, phone number, date of incorporation, and things along those lines. It is specific to the business. So if I am Veronica Herrera and I have, you know, Veronica's Bakery, that's my business. The business is separate entity. We are going to talk a little bit about how there is crossover in just a little bit, but what I'm specifically talking about is the credit report on the business. Now, how do you establish a business credit report? It's a little bit different, obviously, than with a personal credit report. The way you establish your personal credit is you take out a loan. You know, the lender will then submit an inquiry to one of the three bureaus or all three bureaus and kick off your credit report. But what you want to do to establish your own credit report, right, is make sure that your creditors and your suppliers actually report. It's basically they need to set this information up. So you have to incorporate, you have to have an actual business and get a federal employee identification number. It's best if you open business accounts in the legal business name, not in your name, but in the business name as it has been created or has been incorporated. And then you establish credit with those companies that you do business with who report trade and payment information to the bureaus. It could be Experian Business, it could be Dun & Bradstreet, it could be, you know, some of the other small business reporting type of bureaus, but it is done through the companies that you work with. A way that you can obtain your small business credit report, you can order a copy from one of these two websites. One is called smartbusinessreport.com and the other one is through Experian, experian.com/business credit report. Just like with the personal credit report, if you've been declined for credit based on the information provided by your Experian business report, you can get a free copy. Very similar to, by the way, to your personal credit report. So on a personal level, if you've been declined for credit or if you have received what's known as an adverse action letter, you have a period of time where you will be able to get a free credit report to check the validity of the information. It's on that report, see if there's anything that's incorrect that you might want to fix, and you know, for anything that's causing you to be declined for credit. So very similar to what you do for the business side. There is, just like there are personal credit scores, there is a business score, and you can, for a fee, pay for that. You know, you can actually get your business credit score. If you want to, through that credit report site. So the question becomes, how are the business and personal credit reports, how do they work together and how are they different? Okay. Remember that the majority of businesses in the US are considered small businesses, so those that have fewer than 25 employees or that are making less than $25 million worth of annual revenue. Many of these small businesses don't actually have a lot of credit history. So, and in many cases, the business will be owned by a sole proprietor. You know, again, these are small businesses, usually one or two principals, things like that. So, especially when you're first starting out, lenders and creditors and other suppliers, they may not be able to you know, check your references on the business. They might actually ask you to be, as an individual, as a person, to be the guarantor of that report. When something like that happens, it gets reported to your personal credit report. It will still be identified as a business loan. It's reported as that type of a loan and through that type of business, but it will show up on your personal credit report. That's the reason why you want to, as soon as you can, start building your business credit report, the report that's for the business itself, that is separate from your personal credit report, so that the business itself can be the guarantor, not you as an individual. Just like with a personal credit report, if you need to dispute something, right? You get your credit report and there's something that's wrong on there, something, a mistake that has been reported, a trade that you do not recognize, you can dispute that information, just like you would on a normal kind of credit report. So the first thing you do, of course, is get your business reports. You want to make sure you actually have a copy of the latest report so that you know exactly what is wrong and what needs to be disputed. If it's just demographic information, not creditor information, just what we call the header, things about your address or whatnot, you can actually update that information on a website, right? businesscreditfacts.com. But if it is related to a creditor, you do need to submit the disputes in writing. At the end of your credit report, there will be instructions on how you can dispute. The disputes can take up to 30 days. The reason is we have to get back to the original lender. They have to go through the records and see what the issue is, right? Is there an error that needs to be corrected? Or if there is no error, they will simply respond back. But you'll usually know within about 30 days. And then you would want to, again, check your credit, your business credit about 30 days out, or a little over a month out, just to make sure that the changes have been reflected now on the new credit report if the dispute actually goes your way. Okay. There are a couple of resources that are specific, again, to not just to your business credit report. So you can get your business credit report at Experian.com/business credit report, but you can also get your personal credit report at a website called annualcreditreport.com. That's a website, a portal that was created through the FACTA Act. So FACTA created this site where you can log in as an individual and pull your credit report. You can pull one free credit report from each of the three bureaus. Usually it is once every 12 months. For the current year and through through the end of March of 2021, because of the COVID crisis, the three bureaus are actually allowing consumers to get this free credit report once a week. So you can check and monitor updates and what's going on with your credit report much more, much more timely. This is an unusual situation that we are living through, difficult times. So the bureaus, they want to make sure that consumers have the ability to check their credit report more often. We also have a multitude of educational material for you at Experian.com/credit-education. You're going to see all kinds of information. We have brochures, we have videos, we have blogs on every topic that you can possibly imagine. We want to make sure that you have access to accurate and truthful information. There's a lot of stuff out there on the internet right now. You really need to make sure you're going to the source. You need to make sure that the information you're getting comes from reputable sources. So we make sure that we have this information out there for you. We also, as I mentioned before, we have tons of blogs that you can go ahead and check out. And then, of course, go to the businesscreditfacts.com website to get more information on your business credit report once you've got that established. And there's a site called Experian Business Score Planner. Basically, it's a tool that helps you work through your strategies to enhance your business credit score. So you can order a business credit score, And this particular tool will actually show you what are the steps that need to kind of take place in order to help build that score and improve it. All right, just moving along, because I'm kind of running out of time here. I'm going to very briefly touch on the personal credit report. So a credit report is essentially your financial record references. Okay, so anytime you open in your personal name an account of any kind, a loan of, it could be a mortgage, could be an auto loan, student loans, credit cards, whatever, they are recorded. Generally speaking, they're reported to the different bureaus, and that is how you build your credit history with all your financial obligations. When I say credit file, credit history, credit report, I'm talking about the same things. Your personal credit report with the 3 bureaus. There's one at Equifax, at TransUnion, and at Experian. These bureaus collect this information, they organize it, and they make it readily available to legitimate businesses for creditors to check your credit report so that they can extend you credit, so they can look at your financial references and extend you credit. The information that's on a credit report, it always starts off with identifying information, so your name, address, social security number, date of birth, things that are used to identify you as an individual, right? Because there are lots of people who share your name, so we need more than just your name to identify you. We need various information to make sure we have the right credit report. But be aware that identifying information is not used to make credit decisions. No one will decline you based on where you live, your gender, your social security number, your age, anything like that. That information is not permitted to be used in credit decisions. The information for credit decisions has to come from the account information, the public record information, or the inquiry information. These 3 areas of your credit report, that data can be used for credit decisioning. So account information is the information on all of the loans that you have out that you've ever, even the historical information. So it'll have all of your credit cards and auto loans, mortgage loans, et cetera, that you will have on there, open and closed, by the way. And it'll have a history of what's going on with it. What was a loan taken out for? How much was it for? Things like, were the payments made on time? If they were late, when were they late? Things along those lines. If you have any public records, such as a bankruptcy on your file, that will show up in the public records section. At this point, only bankruptcies are displayed on the public record. It used to be a couple of years ago that you could have judgments and tax liens. Those have been removed from all 3 of the bureaus' personal credit reports. At this point, we only have bankruptcy public records showing up on consumer credit reports. And of course, we record anytime anyone looks at your credit report for any reason. It could be for an inquiry, or what's known as a hard inquiry, because you apply for credit. It could be even when you check your own credit report. We are required to annotate anytime anyone takes a look at your inquiries. But do be aware that only hard inquiries can affect your credit score. Soft inquiries, like when you check your credit report, or when your credit report is checked for those pre-screen offers, those do not affect your credit reports, your score, because they are soft inquiries. And then at the bottom of every credit report, of course, are the dispute information instructions, so that if you find anything that's wrong on your credit report, we ask that you get it fixed, right? We don't know if necessarily something is wrong on your credit report, but you do. So check your credit report, look for inaccuracies, look for anything that doesn't belong. Again, if it's simple stuff like updating your address, you can do that pretty much online. It's very simple. If you were discussing or disputing account information, whether that account is yours or perhaps that account isn't yours, you're disputing perhaps a fraudulent account that has made its way onto your credit report. There will be ways for you to submit that information online, through writing, through mail. There are even some things that you can do over the phone. So all the instructions on how you can communicate with the bureaus will be on that credit report. You do need to allow somewhere between 30 to 40 days to get that information resolved. Again, the demographic information, that's usually resolved quite quickly, very instantly, because it's just you updating things like your address or phone number, things like that. But anything that needs to go back to the lender to be confirmed, we need to give them time to research and to make the adjustments, to make the fix. If they do find the error, They will usually resubmit a new file to the Bureau, in which case we will update our records. But that whole process can take up to about a month. So do give it a little bit of time before you check your credit report and see that that information has been updated. And also, when you are submitting, please be very specific about what you are submitting. Give down as much and as many details as you possibly can so that we're researching the right account, the right issue, so that that can be resolved. Credit score, real quickly, credit score is not part of your credit report. A credit score is an algorithm that generates a 3-digit number that represents, for a lender, the probability that a consumer, any given consumer, will default on a loan, right? So how likely is a consumer to not pay on a loan and charge that loan off? That's all that the credit score is giving you. So the higher the number, the less likely you are to default on a loan. The lower the number, the more likely. There are many different models out there. You're probably familiar with FICO scores. You might even be familiar with Vantage scores. That's another kind of tri-bureau model. But be aware that lenders use all kinds of models. In fact, most big banks use their own custom models, things that credit scores that they built specifically for their personal use. So do not think that there is only one credit score out there. There are actually many, many different algorithms that are used. The way to improve your score, regardless of where it comes from, right? Doesn't matter if it's a FICO score, Vantage score, or some other score. The way you improve that score is by looking at what are known as the risk factors, also called score factors, adverse action codes. They come in a variety of names, but they are the 4 top reasons why your score was not higher than it could be. And they are always in order of importance. So if you want to help improve your score, drive your score up, your personal credit score, you look at those reasons, starting from the top down, and essentially do the opposite. So if the top reason says you have a late payment, well, then you need to get that payment back up to date, and then wait a little while until that information starts aging. If the reason is you don't have enough credit cards, or your history is too young, then the answer to that is open up another credit card. Wait as time passes as your accounts mature. If the reason is your utilization is too high, it might mean it's time to pay down some credit card balances. Just address what that factor is, and then the next time you pull your credit report, you might see a different set of risk factors. You might see the same ones. Again, it depends a little bit on the timing, but consistently check these factors, keep addressing the top most important factors, and over time your credit score will improve if you are doing and addressing what is it that's driving your score down. If you do the opposite, you will start seeing that score go up. As I mentioned before, you can go to annualcreditreport.com to get your one of 3 or all 3 of the Bureau's credit report. It says here once every 12 months, but remember that for the time being, until March of 2021, you can get it every week, every 7 days, I believe. Do be aware, however, that only the credit report is free. You will be given an offer to pull a credit score as well. The credit score does have a fee for that. You don't necessarily have to get it there. There are many, many places that you can get your free credit score, variety of different scores. Most of your credit cards will even have offer them for you. So just be aware that if you do check the box that says you want to get your credit score, there will be a fee associated to that. And again, just to know that until, it's through the end of April of 2021, not March, but April, you can get your free weekly credit report for all 3 bureaus during this COVID time. And again, just check for irregularities, check for inconsistencies, check for anything that does not belong. If you've asked for what's known as an accommodation, a CARES Act accommodation, where you ask your lender if for a period of time, because you've been affected by COVID, you might need to delay some payments, make sure that they are not reporting you as delinquent if they agree to take that accommodation, and just check. But be aware that it does take a little bit of time if you are disputing anything for it to happen. So if you're checking your report week to week, you may not see the change that you've requested. It may take a couple of cycles before you can see the updates. Okay, I know I went through that very, very quickly. I do want to give time for my co-presenters to get to their points. If there are any questions specific to your personal and or business credit report, please let us know and we'll try to address those. I am going to stop sharing at this point so that the next speaker can take it.
It does look like there's a couple of questions here. Do we want to address those first, or do we want to wait till the end?
Why don't we wait till the end, because I want to make sure that everybody who's presenting has a chance to, because you know, if we can't get to everything, we can answer them by email, by the way, too.
Perfect.
Okay, so next we have Adela Escobar with her presentation.
Hi, good morning. My name is Adela Escobar from Opportunity Fund. I am a Community Partnership Officer for Opportunity Fund. We are non-profit small business lender, CDFI Community Partner, Community Development Financial Institution micro lender. Our mission is to offer financial services to borrowers that do not qualify for traditional lending. So I'm going to share my screen with my presentation. So Opportunity Fund, we are offering a restart loan. So I'm going to start who we are. We are a community development financial institution driven by a vision and a mission to provide small dollar financing to small business that lack access to conventional sources of capital. Our vision is to envision an inclusive world in which all entrepreneurs and communities have the opportunity to make their dreams come true. And with the mission, we drive economic mobility by providing affordable capital and responsible financing solutions to hardworking entrepreneurs and communities. So our main focus on who we serve, we have a huge presence in the Hispanic community since this business has been overlooked through the pandemic by the government agencies and by the banks. We serve mainly minorities, low to moderate income households, and women business owners. Now, why we are offering a restart loan? We are offering the relief fund to help small business, to help them restart their business after the lockdowns. Even businesses that got a PPP loan may still need more funding. Opportunity Fund has been able to launch the Restart program thanks to almost $1.8 million that we raised to help operating businesses to restart. We are able to offer these loans at low cost because they are supported by iBank. So we know that the business still can survive without assistance, even those that receive loans under the Paycheck Protection Program. So they are more likely to find the funding insufficient, and many were not eligible. Our Restart product description. The purpose of the loan, it's working capital term loan. It's a 27 months term loan. The first 3 months is a fixed payment of $50. The interest rate is prime plus 1, which right now it's 4.25, and it's a fixed rate once the loan is booked. We have no origination fees and no prepayment penalties. On the first 3 months of the payment is only $50. The interest is to be applied. Then the regular amortization after for remainder of the payback period. We do not have late fees or non-sufficient fund fees during this 3-month period. The description is that the loan is personal guarantee, and we require at least one owner with 20% ownership. The minimum verified amount sales is $60,000. The minimum loan amount is $10,000 and the maximum is $25,000. If you need more, we make a combination of our Restart loan with our core loan. And borrowers with existing loans with us can use the Restart loan to refinance their existing loan at a lower rate if the outstanding balance is less than $20,000 loans. We believe this product can provide a cash infusion for businesses that are operating without putting an immediate burden on them. The Restart loan credit eligibility is that we do not require a minimum FICO. A credit score is not required. The business has had to be operating prior to March 1st, and it has to be in one of our Opportunity Fund approved industries. We require a proof of business, an active proof of business, bank statements, MDT transaction history, the Secretary of State or City or County active business license to be used as a proof. The business must be located in California. The required documents are the last year of bank statements. If the 2019 is not available, we will request a profit or loss. The last year of personal tax returns, last 3 months of bank statements, a government issued ID, it must be current, and the credit will be pulled and analyzed, but there will no credit score minimums. And here is my contact information in case you have any other questions. You can call me or email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Adela. Now we're going to go ahead and have Craig.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Adela, Veronica, for the information. Given this unprecedented time, it's what we need right now, right? Updated, reliable information to try and help our small businesses. So to segue into all of that and what it is that we do here at the Small Business Development Center. So again, my name is Craig Gressam. I work with the Small Business Development Center, the Orange County Inland Empire region. I lead the finance team, and pre-COVID times, our mission was pretty clear. We were helping small businesses navigate business debt, understand what debt means to them, their business, and how it all makes sense. COVID hit us in March, and the SBA has really tasked us with trying to help navigate the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and the PPP. And those two programs, which were sponsored by the SBA, which many people accessed, our team was dedicated to try and help folks and small business owners either obtain those funds, understand how those funds work with their business, and then ultimately now, what are we doing past that, right? What does it look like? So I lead the finance team. My background's there for you to read. My background's in specialty sporting goods. I used to own specialty sporting goods stores and transitioned into the finance sector. More importantly, though, than me, it's my team. We have over 100 consultants here at the SBDC, so not just finance. We have all kinds of different sectors. We offer no-cost business consultation. Really, that's what it comes down to. We're not loan brokers here at the SBDC, and what I do with the finance team, we really operate under the notion of business consultants. And all of us here, whether they're brick and mortar, restaurant, in manufacturing, procurement, their online-based business, a service-based industry, whatever it is that you have, we have consultants that have expertise in your area of business. So please give us a call. We're happy to help you understand your business, understand what other financing is available to you. And so today, I know I was brought in to talk about this piece here, right? Other access to capital. What does it look like? It's a question I get a lot, being part of the finance team. Where's that magical bag of cash that I can access for my business given this unprecedented times? I want to take a step back from there, though. I want to talk a little bit about what does that process look like? What do we do here at the SBDC, and what can we do to help prepare you for access to capital? I think it's an important conversation to have. I think that's where I spend most of my time today these days, is working with business owners. Maybe they've already had access to PPP. EIDL is already on the books, so the economic injury disaster loan is already on the books. And so now we're looking at additional access to capital. Is that where we are? I like to start where the business by the numbers, getting into the revenue. So when you sit down, with somebody like myself here at the SBDC, this is where I'm going to start. The conversation isn't, okay, these are the lenders that are available out there. Good luck. We work with you from a consultative standpoint, and that we're going to take the time to review what were your revenue streams, what they look like pre-COVID, 18, 19, what made you successful. Many of you were coming off of some historic years coming out of 2019. You were doing very well. Q1, again, January, February, and then March hit. Okay, so I want to take some time to review that with you. I want to take some time to review what does your revenue look like through those time periods. What does it look like today? Hard to believe, but we're in September already. When all this started back in March, it was hard to understand, what our world was going to look like, June, July, but yet we still had to plan. We still had to make adjustments to our business. And here we are in September. So we'll take the time to review what your revenue streams look like today, and then try and help you think about what the future looks like. Because that's what the lenders want to see, right? We understand Q2, Q3, so we're looking at almost 2 full quarters of COVID. What has your business done during that time period? Did you pivot? Can you still pivot? Are there things you can do? What were those costs to pivot? Okay, and then what is your plan? So by answering all those questions and putting that together with the financials, then we can go out and find additional capital for you. So where do I start? Again, at the revenue streams. We do an analysis, take a look at where you were, in January, February, what happened in March. Many of you saw a reduction in revenue. You had to make adjustments to your expenses. So I like to analyze where the cash is coming from, because this is important when we're looking at new debt. Right? Ultimately, we need to service that debt. We have EIDL payments that are coming next year. What does our cash flow look like? Is it going to allow us to take on additional debt service? These are all questions that we need to answer before we go out and approach the lenders. Revenue streams, we need to determine where the cash is coming from. We need to evaluate your business and its expenses. What have you done to either reduce your expenses or shift your expenses? Are you on rent deferment? Are those deferment payments starting to come due? All this is really important, so we help you put these together in an Excel type sheet that we can read together, and then ultimately make presentations to different lenders. Building accurate cash flow. What is what we call a burn rate, or how much cash you have left in the bank to support your business today? If we pivot, add new revenue streams, then can we close that gap? Can we have more cash available to us as we implement our recovery plan with COVID? Really important to talk about the EIDL. Is that sitting in an account somewhere? Have you started to spend it? There is no timeline in the EIDL, unlike the PPP, which you have 8 or 24 weeks. So the EIDL is a really interesting strategic play with regard to access to capital. If you haven't taken advantage of it, I highly recommend it. It's still available. It's direct from the SBA, no fees, no processing fees, no points, no prepayment penalty, 12-month deferment, 3.75%. It's been an incredible way to get some access to capital for your business directly from the SBA. PPP funds, we have folks here in the finance team that can talk to you more about your PPP. Have you spent through it? We are still waiting on Washington at this point. with regard to the forgiveness component to PPP. Right now, strategy on the PPP is to wait and hold until we have further information. The big reason why is that you have 10 months to apply for forgiveness from the end of your coverage period. So for many of you, maybe your 24-week coverage period is in October or November. 10 months after that is your timeline in which to apply for forgiveness. So more important to me, and my team and us here at the SBDC is your business viable? Have you implemented recovery plans? What is it that your business looks like as we enter into Q4, Q1 next year? That to me is more important than whether or not your PPP is fully forgiven at this point. I want to make sure that you're still in business, okay, before I start thinking about the forgiveness aspect of the PPP. So a little different strategy play there than maybe you're hearing from some folks, but I want to focus on the recovery effort first, which of course includes forgiveness of PPP, but we are still waiting on Washington for some new rule changes. Cash that's available, other assets. We're talking about other alternative lending. Do you have business assets, personal assets? What else do we have available to us that we can look at alternative financing needs? Okay, and then just the blanket other capital. So by going through this process, we'll have a better understanding of what it is that you need. Why is this so important? Because take a look at this example. This is just a sample business that you put together. Month 5. So if you're looking in May, maybe that's when the PPP dropped in. Maybe you had access to EIDL. Look at that time period afterwards, right? We have almost 2 full quarters there, 2 quarters, and then we get into Q1 next year, January, February, March 2021, without access to capital, or what capital becomes available to us. This is what's important to me. My team, as we evaluate, take a look at how you've been able to close the gap, reduce your expenses, increase your revenue, try new things. One aspect of the PPP, which was really interesting, is that you didn't have to bring back the same employees, or you didn't have to bring back that same job description. So what we had some businesses do was to identify new revenue streams that they could bring in and hire new people to support the new revenue stream. Okay, we were actually looking at how we can generate new money into the company and hire new folks while we spent the PPP. So it was a way to utilize PPP funds, ultimately get the PPP funds forgiven while we implemented a new revenue stream. So some interesting strategy plays. But these are the types of things that we can build here with you at the SBDC. We can help you put these projections together, get a better understanding of your business by the numbers. And then by so doing, now we know what your access to capital needs are, and then we can go out and start talking to some lender partners. Okay, so action items today, some takeaways. This is what we can do. You can contact us at the SBDC, and we can help you through this process about identifying revenue streams, analyzing your feasibility over the next 3, 6, what does 12 months look like from today? I understand there's a lot of uncertainty. It's hard to tell for certain what's going to happen over the next 12 months, but it is an exercise, and it does help you start to build that roadmap. It does show you that what if access to capital isn't an option? What do I need to do to navigate that space over the next 12 months? Then we play some what if scenarios. What if we're able to get another $50,000 cash infusion, $25,000 that may be available through Opportunity Fund. What does that look like? Okay, how can I utilize those funds over the next 12 months? And reducing your expenditures, I like to pick away at the expenses. It's an opportunity to reach back out to different vendors, utilities, insurance, whatever it is we need to do to try and reduce your expenditures and try and minimize the cash burn rate. We want to keep more cash in your bank accounts right now as you implement your recovery plan. Okay, and then ultimately understanding then sources of capital, and then that last piece, creating a full 12-month projection. What does it look like? So we know what cash flow looks like. How do we do that then? We take all that information, we compile it, We have a loan package documentation checklist that I can send to you so that you get an understanding. And a lot like what Opportunity Fund needs, as part of their review process. And as we went through with the credit report, it's really important. Get a copy of your recent credit report. You can get them for free. Gosh, I learned something today. It looks like I can do it weekly to check up on my credit. Because as we know, as business owners, small business owners especially, we have a tendency to lean on our personal credit during some of these tough times. We're looking for capital, and so we tap into our personal credit. Well, it's going to affect your personal score. And so we want to be sure that we're utilizing our personal credit the right way. And so by getting an accurate, up-to-date report, it's going to help us put together this package and ultimately get you to the lenders and access to capital that you need for your business. What else are we looking for? There's something called a 413. Ultimately, it is a personal asset statement. Most of these lending programs, it is going to fall on you as an individual. And so we want to get an accurate picture of what you have personally, whether it's homes, other assets that would be available to you, and then your personal debts. What do we have to work with from a personal side to see if there's other assets that might be available to us and how you're doing personally. The 1919 is a basic borrower information form from the SBA. It just dives deeper a little into you again as an individual. Have you ever had an SBA loan before? Are you involved in any current litigation? So some basic yes or no questions. Year ends, if you have them. We're getting close here to October, so if you filed an extension for your business, tax returns are going to be coming due. Most likely, if you're looking at business financing, it may be conditioned to have your 19 tax returns completed. So it's a good time to have that strategy talk with your CPA and try and finish those things up. And then what's really important this year, 2020 interim financials. So we want to get an understanding of how you navigated COVID. What did you do monthly? We're talking March, April, May, June, right? And we're already here September. How did you pivot if you did? What does that mean to your business? And then what does it look like? What's that plan as we continue through these times of uncertainty? That's what the banks are looking to see. They want to understand how you're operating, in the midst of COVID. What do you see for next year? What kind of changes did you make? And so that's why interim financials is going to be so important to have those together. If we can get reconciled books through August, that'd be fantastic. And then as we project out through the rest of the year, what is that going to look like? And that's the process. This is what we can do. We're here to help you. At the SBDC, we can walk you through what this process looks like. And again, if there's one takeaway here, I want you to understand that there is a service that's no cost to you to help you with your business, review your business, help you put these types of packages together and make that determination. So whether you're bankable now or is it 3 months from now, 6 months, 12 months from now, we're here for you along the way, and we have consultants that can help you put that plan together. Once we do that, once we put that information together, then the access to capital then we'll go out, we'll talk to different lenders and see who's available out there to bring on board. We make an introduction and have you work directly with that lender. So if you have any questions, there's a 1-800 number, our website, and feel free, you can email me directly as well. So thank you for your time, and we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
So I see that there are actually a few questions in the queue, and I think we have some time. We have about 10 minutes left to answer a few questions, and I'll kind of go through and pick the ones that are credit related. I can't talk about loans because Experian does not issue loans, but I can definitely talk about some of the credit questions. I see that a couple of people have requested finding out more about how Dun & Bradstreet kind of relates to all of this. So as I mentioned before, when it comes to personal consumer credit, the three bureaus are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Well, on the business side, it's Experian and Dun & Bradstreet. So it's the same kind of situation. It is a business credit bureau Dun & Bradstreet is, I would say, one that's very, very well known, but Experian also has, just like Dun & Bradstreet, has a business credit bureau. So just think of Experian's business side with Dun & Bradstreet as being kind of the same as the difference between Experian and Equifax when it comes to the consumer side. So that's how Dun & Bradstreet kind of fits into the picture. See, another question here that came in, Bina, you asked whether or not when you pull your company's credit business report, does that count against the number of times your credit report is pulled? No, it does not. When you pull your own credit report, it is what's known as a soft inquiry. It is for your eyes only, nobody else can see it, and you are permitted to pull the credit report as often as you need without it affecting, and it does not affect your credit score in any way or in any other method that a lender would actually see. So do not hesitate to pull your own credit report when you need it. There are also a couple of other questions here that talk about how the business credit report and the personal credit report, if they're reported to each other, they are not. They are separate businesses, completely separate entities. The question now becomes, well, how does it get onto one or the other, right? Does your loan, when you apply for a loan, whether it's a line of credit, you're working with a manufacturer, a supplier of some kind, when you are taking out that particular line of credit with that vendor, it depends on whether or not they are willing to accept the business as the guarantor or if they require that you as an individual become the guarantor. Sometimes they will report to both, but if you are the guarantor of a loan, then most likely you will, that particular loan is going, or that line of credit is going to show up on your personal credit report. It will show up as a business loan. Still, that's the classification of it, but it will be on your personal. If you prefer not to have it on yours, and when you work with your lenders or your suppliers, you make sure that they take out the loan or use the credit report that's pulled from the business side in the business name only, leaving your personal name out of it. That's kind of how you keep those separate. They do not feed one another. So we do not take information from one credit report and put it into the other. It depends on how the loan is taken out and who is guaranteeing that loan. There is a question here from Shirley. You asked, what's the best way for a business owner to build their own credit file apart, separate? The way you do that is by getting your lenders to report your payments and all that to the business side, to the Experian business credit report, as opposed to the Experian consumer credit report. The idea here is to build your business history so that it can stand on its own, so that you do not need to be a personal guarantor to these loans, that the business itself can do it. A couple of questions here from Tim. You asked whether credit repair companies actually work. Well, yes, technically they do, but they're not doing anything that you can't do yourself for free. The difference is that the repair services will charge you an exorbitant amount of money to do something that you can do for free, which is essentially disputing any information that's wrong on your credit report. Now, a credit repair company cannot magically fix anything. The way their model works traditionally is they dispute information on your behalf, which again is something that you can do easily for free online or through the phone or through mail. So it's nothing that you need to spend upwards of $1,000 for. It's just a crazy price tag for something that's readily available to you and easy to do. Please do note that disputing accounts is not a way to manage your credit score, because when you dispute an account, if you say, oh, this is incorrect information, the credit bureaus do not suppress the negative information. They suppress the entire account. So if you're saying, oh, this credit card has a 30-day late payment and I'm disputing that 30-day late payment. While that account is in dispute, it isn't the 30-day late payment that is suppressed while it's in dispute. The entire trade is going to be suppressed while it's in dispute. So you want to be very careful about the things that you dispute. It has to be the actual information that's incorrect. Don't over dispute, because it can actually drive your credit score down. So please be aware of that.
Veronica, this is Craig.
Yes.
Can I piggyback on that a little bit? Yeah, because people, I think they have a
Yes,
misconception
please
about
do.
that, right? You know, I come from, residential lending and stuff as well. And I tell you, sometimes the disputes can really hold up access to capital elsewhere,
Yes.
because the lenders want to see those things resolved before they'll lend. And so, yeah, just like Veronica's saying, you have to be careful on the disputes.
Exactly. Please do be careful. I see a couple of questions here regarding secured versus unsecured. In fact, reading a question is it better to have secured or unsecured, or does it affect your credit score? So a secured line of credit or a secured credit card, for example, is a typical type of a thing. Generally speaking, yes, unsecured credit cards are viewed as better and less risky than secured credit cards. Secured credit cards are normally issued to higher risk consumers, consumers that are new to people who don't have a long or strong credit history. If you don't have a background or credit history, many credit card issues will ask you to start off first with a secured account, right? So you're securing it against a bank account or something like that. And then as your credit improves, you can move to an unsecured. So between the two, yes, it's always better to have an unsecured credit card than it is to have a secured credit card. But how do you do that? Well, you usually have to start with secured, build that history, right? 6 months to a year after you've opened a secured credit card. If your lender starts seeing that you're using the card and you're making your payments on time, you're not defaulting, you're not going late, you can start asking for, first of all, increases in credit limits, as well as to move it to an unsecured card. So hope that answers that question. If you don't have great personal credit, can you establish business credit? Yes, you can. Again, initially, it'll probably have to be secured. If you don't have good credit, or if you have very little credit, most lenders will ask for some kind of security, or sometimes they will ask for a cosigner. There are other, each lender is different, so I can't tell you across the board what they do. Each lender is a little bit different. But if you are considered a high risk, either because your credit score isn't great to begin with, or your credit history isn't very thick, or there's little information, or not, there's some late payments or some negative things on there, you may be asked for other, securities against that. It does take time. I'm afraid there's no magic cure here. It does take time as you build your references, as every month you make those payments on time. Slowly but surely that credit history will start to build, and now lenders are going to start seeing, or creditors are going to start seeing this history, both on your personal and or your business accounts, where they see, oh good, this person pays their bills on time. They're making regular payments. They're using their credit, and they're doing so successfully. The more you do that, the better your credit score becomes, the better your credit history becomes, and the more likely they are not going to ask you for a secured loan, for a cosigner, or for low limit type of credit lines. Let me see, is there anything else here? So Pete, you had asked, is credit for a sole proprietor business considered a business loan, personal loan, or hybrid, or both? As I mentioned before, it depends on how it is reported and who is the guarantor. If you are taking out a loan, a business loan, and you put it in your name, okay, your own name, then it will show up on your personal credit report as a business loan. If you put it in your business's name, it will show up on the business credit report. They do not automatically go to both unless you take out the credit in both of the names. Let me think, is there any other? Let's see, talked about that. Is the access to the weekly credit reports for business credit reporting or personal only? It is for personal only. You can still get your business credit reporting, but the free weekly is only for your personal. What is the best way to build business credit without using personal guarantee? As I mentioned before, just make sure your lenders are reporting to the business side, to the Experian Business or to Dun & Bradstreet. Can you recommend any secured business card providers? Unfortunately, I do not have access to that kind of information. I don't know. I actually know some sites. Experian does a site where it does for personal, but I do not know, unfortunately, for business loans. Can a business obtain a secured credit line? Yes, they can. Yeah, just talk to your lenders or your creditors and see what kind of loans that they're offering. It all depends on the conditions of the loan, how much they're going to extend you, what type of loan it is. But you can get secured and, you know, co-sign types of loans. So we already answered that question. Let's see here. I think I've got most of the credit reporting questions. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going through and I think I've answered most of the credit related questions. But if other questions come in, I don't know, team, if they can actually respond back to you and see if perhaps there are other questions that pop in. I do see that we're past the time now.
Craig or Adela, you guys don't want to answer some of the finance questions?
I was looking for anything for me. It doesn't look like it. There might be
Oh,
something.
okay.
I was looking through.
One last question that I had that just came in at the very end. If we want, Tim asked, out of curiosity, when and why did the bureaus remove the tax lien judgment for the credit report? It happened in 2017 through 2018, and it was because the courts weren't providing us with enough information to make sure we could always get it to the right credit report. So the data didn't meet minimum standards for credit reporting criteria, so we decided it was best to remove it. Hope that answers the question.
And I just want to add regarding the grants with Opportunity Fund. We partner with some other community partners to process the grants. So the rules and the cities and everything, it's given by the partners. So we don't have any like input why the cities or the regions or the limits of the cities where we are giving the grants. Thank you.
So that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. If you guys have any other questions, this webinar will be sent out tomorrow as well as our contact info if any of you guys have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.